The goal I was shooting for was to be able to build a decision tree to lead users down a specific path to get options that they wanted and be able to submit a workflow. But we didn't have a way to show hide a set of form or inputs or select lists of items. So I've made a way for us to show hide and steer users down a decision tree depending on what the user enters or what choices they are given. For an example, I run a tree company and I want to be able to build a form all through the UI to allow us to take in orders from users without having to use an e-commerce setup. There's many ways to use this if you want to troubleshoot problems, if you want to use it as a contact center for training. There's a lot of ways to use this. This is just the way that I am using it for a example and demo today. We will start with the front end. So you can be asked a question for a list of items. We carry red buds. It's a tree for Cincinnati, Ohio. I want to know what size of tree that they're expecting. I'm looking for a 4-inch tree. Now I want to know what color flowers that the user is interested in. Depending on the options given, you can steer them in one direction, like I showed you the decision map. I don't want a pine, I want a pine instead of a maple. Submit the order. Yes, and this will fire off a workflow, create a content item. It can send an email, however you prefer it. And then the backend is set up on just the site page. And I tried to make it as user-friendly for anybody in just the UI will be able to do it. So as you start to build inputs, you get a starting input, and then giving rules depending on the input in front of it, it will work with it. So as you guys saw, the first input was looking for red buds, was a tree. The second input was looking for the diameter of the trunk of the tree. The third one was looking for the flower of the tree. And the fourth one is looking for the type of leaf. And in this, I believe, allows the user to build out a whole UI of a form that is show hide and can become a decision tree to increase another item that we can put into Orchard Core.
So just to kind of explain a little bit more, so that visibility settings button was added. And as you can see, the first option, click on that visibility settings, please. So by default, it's always visible. From there, you can change it. So if you change it to conditionally show, you will see options now, and you can set group and rules. So each group has or can have multiple rules, and then based on the options or the operators that you select and the value, the UI will change accordingly. So this kind of makes it easy for anyone that was to create a form but need some sort of conditional logic to be able to still utilize the backend to define whatever rules for their visibility, and it will show or hide. And he also added that conditionally hide, not just conditionally show. So it'll be the opposite. The example he showed only for inputs. I don't know if you haven't, Jack, did you get around to finishing like a drop-down menu where you can just change?
I did not, but I am one line away from doing it. I just didn't want to blow up my demo.
Yeah. Sebastian, you can unmute your mic and don't scare him off.
Oh. So what do I want to say? So it looks cool. It's one form here, and then you submit the form, right? The settings, yes, they were at the input level, the form element level. So what I was expecting when it started, when I saw your decision tree, I was like, maybe it's like, I put it in the comment, like a wizard where you type stuff and then you say next, and then you have a new set of fields based on what you typed before. No, like, and I didn't even expect it to be triggered by rules or whatever, like just a set of just a set of forms, actually, like a workflow, but a workflow of forms. But here it's just workflow of inputs. So, oh, and you can, with these rules, you can select what will be displayed based on the result of the other value. Like if I type red, I will see something, and if I type black, I will see something else, right?
Yes, you can.
It's
So
based on, okay.
yes, you could type in, starting input and then have a set of 5 other checkboxes that would all show up depending if you typed in the true answer. And
Yeah.
then from there, from which checkbox you typed or touched and became true, you would get another set of inputs or checkboxes that would go along with the rules you are looking for.
And if you change the previous value, will it just hide the other inputs that were displayed before?
Sorry, one more time.
If you change a previous value, like when you display 5 inputs because you are at the 5th steps, but you change back the first one.
I understand.
So the question
It
is,
should, because he's
how do you
listening
intercept the
for
changes?
key up,
Okay,
key up
okay.
event,
Any change on the
change.
input will trigger again the rules. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But-
this is going to be on key up, and if it's gone, it does both.
Do you reevaluate everything then? Because so for example, you have 3 inputs, but the 4th one will depend on the value of the 3. So if you change the first one, maybe the 5th condition will be dependent on the 3rd one, which hasn't changed. But with the first that changed, maybe it should change. There is an edge case there, but you'll see on this age.
Yeah, I think he should just bubble the event. That would automatically trigger all the rest of them, because it's one depends on the other. So if you change the parent, the children need to be aware of the change that the parent happened, and changes accordingly too.
So going back to my first comment about forms and wizard, I think that would be cool also to be able to link forms themselves, like display the second form when, like submit will not submit, but will be next. That's maybe totally different thing that can be done than what you did, but that would be nice, I think, to be able to do some wizards like this, to say next, previous, and then submit when you reach the last one. So maybe the button should also have some logic, like, I don't know. So that, but the main thing that bothers me in the admin is that you made a lot of work for these groups and constraints and this editor, and we had that in option 1. I don't know before, maybe for the projections we had something like that to build a Boolean expression from the UI. And in my opinion, that's a lot of work for people who can just write a Boolean expression, like in any script, example JavaScript.
Yes, and this was going to stop that, is that users were having to build these forms using JavaScript to show and hide. And now we can do it now with just UI clicks.
Yeah, but there is typing JavaScript in the client script, and then it's a mess, and typing JavaScript in the admin section where it's organized and you have IntelliSense and you can do it dynamically, and that's different. So that personally, I would still prefer as a user to just say, to see the list of available variables, like you showed, starting input 3 size and so on, but then be able to do whatever I want, because the issue with the UI is once it is becoming complex, then the UI will be super complex. You can't read what you wrote, and you might not be able to express what you want to express. That's my concern.
Okay. I'm gonna have to listen to the thing again.
Yeah,
But
sorry,
that's all I
I
have
have a
for
French
now.
accent also, so you're not helped. Mike will translate it. Mike understands my French accent.
Yeah, that's okay. But that's all I have for now.
That's
and I'll
cool.
be-
Thank you.
Yes.
We have Sebastian, we have a feature that allow you to design what you said, which is a wizard. It's a survey, so that's what we call it. But we have a UI that allow you to create a complete survey with multiple pages where you can go back or you can go forward, and it can validate as well.
Nice. And yeah, maybe the forward could be like what's done here, dependent on some condition. Like when you say next, you can check condition and say the next one is this one, or next one is this one.
Yeah, but the
that would
thing
be
is
good.
with this one is that we wanted it to be a UI like a
Mhm.
real time without having to submit. We actually want it to be,
All client side.
as JavaScript. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can do that in forms too. If the forms are pre-rendered and then you just show them. This is what the flow part and the back parts do. They pre-render the forms, and then when you say add, it will kind of clone the initial form. You see what I mean? The back part and the flow part, how they work? Because yeah, it's also client side, but there are ways of that. Not hard way.